What's up, everyone? It's Mark Shalero, the owner of MS Classic Cars, and today I'm coming right back at you with yet another spectacular vehicle. I'm sitting behind the wheel of a 1966 Ford Mustang Fastback Custom that's packing a 308 with almost 400 horsepower, and it's coupled to a Borg Warner T5 5-speed manual transmission. You've got to check this thing out. To start off this video here, I would like to say I am a huge fan of first-generation Mustangs. We have not sold a first-generation Mustang since January, which was at the Barrett-Jackson auction, where I was so proud to own and to have sold the 1966 Shelby Group 2 Mustang that was built for legendary driver Ken Miles. We also have coming up for sale in a few weeks a 1965 Ford Mustang Fastback K-Code, one of the best examples in the country. That is more of a factory correct restoration. This particular car here, although it looks factory correct, it has been slightly customized. It's a perfect blend of factory correct and custom. Just want to make sure I kind of clarified all that. I am going to reference some of my notes here that I have personally composed and written, which can be viewed on our website at msclassiccars.com. If you have or have not been following us, please note that I only collect number 1, number 2 condition vehicles. We've been doing that since inception. We're the only classic car dealership in the country who services and sorts out every single car that we sell. I'll say it over and over again. If you do not know, this is a fact. Regardless of who builds the car, who does the restoration, whether it's a factory correct car or a custom car, all classic cars need to be sorted out. We take great pride in doing that at MS Classic Cars, and then we document the work with an invoice. I create a brand new binder for every single vehicle like I've done for this one here. And when you flip open the binder, it's the first thing that you see is the invoice for the vehicle. I will go over those details on this particular car in a minute. Once the cars are done through the service process, we detail them to the highest level. I have 2 full-time and 1 part-time detailer. They literally spend 2 days per vehicle. So if it was 1 man working on the car, it's 4 days to make these cars look as magnificent as what they do. When the new owner purchases them, I will personally handle the calls, the emails, the paperwork. We will even load the car inside the enclosed shipping, which I coordinate, and then we'll cover it with a brand new plastic cover to make sure that it arrives at your doorstep as nice as it left our showroom. Please do your homework on MS Classic Cars. Now, getting into this particular vehicle here, I'd like to start off by saying this beautifully restored 1966 Ford Mustang Fastback Custom is equipped with a 308 400 horse V8 5-speed manual transmission. It is in show quality condition throughout and loaded with many upgrades. As the VIN number indicates, this pony car was built in Metuchen, New Jersey, July 20th, 1966 as a Ford Mustang Fastback with a 289 with 200 horsepower V8. As the door tag indicates, it has a New York District Code. They reference that as the DSO. It had a Wimbledon White exterior. It had a red luxury interior, 4-speed transmission, and a standard rear end with 280 gears. From the information that we had gathered, the car was restored roughly 10 years ago. MS Classic Cars purchased this vehicle in December of 22, and upon inspection after our purchase, we decided to go ahead and do a light restoration to the entire vehicle, which was completed in April of 23. So let me touch base on that. I said I was going to reference this binder, which I'm going to do. If you flip to our invoice, you will see that it's 4 pages long. Everything has been fully documented. We invested $44,136.10 in this vehicle. Again, $44,136.10. So to be very transparent and very truthful, I purchased this vehicle from a guy, I'm going to call him a guy, who sold me another car. Actually, it was a 70 Boss 302 Mustang, and it was done to what we reference as the elite level of quality. Still had issues with that car, as I do with all classic cars, but we did purchase that vehicle first. And then conversation led into this vehicle here. I was under the impression, I didn't do my due diligence, that this vehicle was going to be very close to the condition of the other car, not only cosmetically but mechanically. And when the car showed up, I was just not happy with the car overall. Now again, he argued with me that the car was a beautiful car, as what most people think are, but our definition at MS Classic Cars of something that's beautiful is different than most. So I made the decision to go ahead and basically do a restoration to a car that had already been restored. So that's kind of the story of this particular car. And again, we just finished this car and we're super proud of it. So let me get into the details. The exterior of this first generation Mustang is truly striking with its great factory design and color combination. There is no disputing that this color, this Wimbledon White, with these red stripes, with these Redline tires, is absolutely spectacular. I think most people would agree. The body is overall very nice on this car. The hood, the doors, the trunk lid, they close very nicely. During the recent light restoration, the body was stripped of the paint. We did not take the car to bare metal. What we did is we cut into the color, and then we took it to a body shop that we've done business with, and they completely repainted the entire car. So it does have a brand spanking new paint job. So again, there's no scratches, there's no chips, there's no swirls. The car is in absolutely beautiful condition. The paint was wet sanded, buffed, and detailed to a show quality shine. Then the car was dressed with the red GT vinyl stripes, which look amazing. This car is not a GT. Again, it was outfitted with the GT options. Want to be transparent about that as well. The original Ford Car-Lite stamped vent glass, door glass, and rear glass is still in the vehicle. However, it does have a brand new windshield. This glass that's in the rest of it is actually in really nice condition. All of the stainless trim on the vehicle has been restored or replaced. Matter of fact, we did some of that during our light restoration. It does have chrome mirrors on the outside, which were replaced. The door handles were replaced. Bumpers were replaced, the whole front grille, the fog lights, it even has headlights that are stamped Ford. So again, when you look at the photos, everything that you see is restored and replaced. The car is in stunning condition, definitely a high show quality car for sure. When we get into the wheels, the car actually had these wheels on it. They were purchased in 2022, from the information that I had gathered, they were actually a chrome 15-inch mag style wheel that people use with these Mustangs that have the red center cap and everything, which again matches the red stripes and the wheels and the interior. And then of course, when we got it, we took off the tires and we actually put on a brand new set of BF Goodrich Silverstone Radials, which are 215/65 15s. Again, love those double stripes on those tires. Again, everything on the exterior is in working order. So we make sure parking lights work, headlights work, high beams work, tail lights work, brake lights work, turn signals, etc., etc. We go through the cars and make sure all that works, because most of the time there's always one or two or three things that don't. So be rest assured that everything on the outside of the car is in working order. Again, you got to check out all the photos that we have. Now, when we get into the interior of this first generation Mustang is timeless with its simple and sporty design. It was refinished in its original red luxury interior, which complements the exterior color perfectly, again with the red stripes and the Redline tires. Everything has been restored or replaced in the interior, such as the headliner, the sun visors, the rear view mirror, the dash pad, all of the black gauges that we have, all of the simulated wood. It does have, obviously, the lower section of the dash was all repainted, new door panels. Again, we did a really good job in the detail department, kind of refreshing this interior that had already been restored originally when they did it back roughly 10 years ago. Kicker panels, door sills, full-length console, bucket seats, rear seats. The seat in the back does fold down. It does have seat belts. Again, all the door hardware is brand new, etc., etc. It does have a reproduction rally pack here, which is really cool. That was part of the GT. And you got your RPM gauge on the left side and you got your clock on the right side. They are both in great working order. It also features a SST shifter with a white ball. I'll get into the details of that and the transmission in a minute. And it also has a retro sound custom sound system with door speakers. Again, everything in the interior of this vehicle is in working order. So again, people sometimes don't think of all these things, but we're talking about things like courtesy lights. We're a stickler for making sure that courtesy lights work. Dash lights, turn signals, the horn, the gauges. I just referenced the clock, even the heating system. How many times I can tell you we get cars that are super high quality and the heat doesn't work. We make sure the heat works, which it does in this vehicle here. The trunk compartment was restored and in really nice condition. You'll notice in the photos they put the correct trunk jack tool instructions on the back of the trunk lid, and then they painted everything obviously white inside. They left it a little bit rough like it would be from the factory. There's a correct style trunk mat in the back. You will notice that there is no spare tire. I want to be clear that we just yesterday made the decision to go ahead and order a brand new matching 15-inch chrome wheel like you see here with the matching tires because of the same size all the way around. We are going to put on a brand new tire, brand new wheel. We do have a jack for this car, and we have the piece that actually holds the spare into the trunk compartment. So we will make sure to install that so the new owner will be able to open up their trunk, maybe at a car show, and open up that trunk lid and see that beautiful brand new matching spare back there if anybody's concerned about that. I think we invested almost $600 yesterday just in getting that ordered. Now, let's talk about the engine. This is where things get really sexy with this car, besides its gorgeous color combination and everything else, and just the way the car represents itself. As I mentioned earlier in the video, these cars came with 289s. They only had, this particular one here only had 200 horsepower. Even when you get into some of the higher horsepower motors from the factory, 225, and you get into Shelby's, the horsepower was never significant back in 1965, 66, and so forth. But what we did here with this particular car is we really put some power under the hood. So I'll get into these details. The engine compartment is highly detailed throughout with many upgraded parts. The VIN stamp is still on the driver's side inner fender apron. The back side of the hood was painted white. The firewall, inner fenders, and radiator support was painted in its correct shade of black. The car, again, is powered by a 308 V8 that we had dyno tested at 398 horsepower. People talk about horsepower all the time, but they have no proof of what the engine does. With this car, you have the proof. The engine was rebuilt by well-known Nat's Engines in Seekonk, Mass. Nat is a friend of ours, one of the best engine builders on the East Coast. If you don't know him, you got to look up his company. He's just the real deal and does a great job. This engine runs excellent on pump gas and is very user-friendly for a pleasurable driving experience. Everything in the engine compartment was new or restored during the process in which we did here at MS Classic Cars. Now, to touch base on some of the engine high-performance parts, it has an Eagle crank, it's got scat rods, it's got Malley forged pistons, Howard's roller cam. Again, this is a roller motor, which again is really good for reliability. It has Ford Racing 302X aluminum heads. It's got Ford Racing lifters, it's got Scorpion roller rockers, and a Moroso oil pan. Mike Marcella, Joe Fournier, all the guys that work for us, they really love engine building. They love getting involved with all this kind of stuff and dealing with Nat and everything else. We really went with a great setup with this engine. I think if you look at our invoices between parts and labor, we invested like $10,000 just in this engine. So again, it's ready to rock and roll. Some of the things that the engine was outfitted with include an Edelbrock Performer RPM intake. It's got Mustang powered by Ford valve covers and spec ordered pulleys. Other options include an Edelbrock AV2 650 carburetor with electric choke. We went with a brand new carburetor. It's got an all-star fuel pump. It's got an all-star distributor, Taylor wires, electronic ignition, Petronix flamethrower coil. Again, a lot of upgrades. It has the factory style hinges, master cylinder. It's got the original style windshield wiper, washer bag. It does have an Autolite alternator and a Napa battery. The engine is cooled by a brand new reproduction 3-row radiator, which we installed. We did add the custom innovation radiator support panel cover, which is really cool. The engine breathes through Summit Racing ceramic coated headers into a 2.5-inch pipes dual exhaust system that sounds awesome. The engine is coupled to a Borg Warner T5 5-speed manual transmission that was rebuilt by well-known George's Transmission in Coventry, Rhode Island. Like to give George a shout out as well. He's a friend. He does a great job. We use him all the time. Part of that kit that I was referencing earlier, I had said I would talk about the transmission. When you get this kit for the conversion for the T5, comes with this SST shifter and the shift ball and everything else, so it's kind of part of a package. We did put a McLeod Street Pro 10.5-inch clutch, which is really easy to operate. That's one thing I'll brag about this car. The clutch is super easy. The power is transferred to a Ford 8-inch posi rear end with 355 gears that was rebuilt by MS Classic Cars. We also, during this light restoration process, we upgraded to a Borgeson power steering system that works excellent. Joe Fournier, who worked on this car, he did a great job. He did most of the work on this vehicle regarding the mechanics and everything else. Once again, we went through everything. The undercarriage was nicely detailed throughout with many upgraded parts. We did respray the entire underneath with a textured paint for durability. It has a new fuel tank, new fuel lines, new steering components, suspension components, braking system, and everything else. It is equipped with a larger front sway bar. It's got KYB shocks at all 4 corners, and the car was lowered 1 inch for better handling. And the front disc brakes do have 4-piston calipers. So once again, that's kind of an overview of this entire car. When you really think about it, what we have here is a brand new paint job. We've got all brand new trim. We've got a gorgeously restored interior. We have a completely restored engine compartment with all new components starting with the engine, into the cooling system, into the exhaust system. We have a new transmission, new rear end, new suspension, I mean, everything. This car is truly an awesome car. Get on the internet, search 1965, 1966 Mustang Fastbacks, and look at what is out there. Look at the quality, and then compare those cars to what you see here with this car. This is a very special car. It's not going to be a cheap car. You can clearly see what we invested just in the work that we did. So before I go ahead and start it, I will mention, if you have not signed up for the MS Classic Cars VIP email blast, please do so. That is the best way to follow our company and stay in touch with what we're doing, what we have coming to the forefront. As an example, I mentioned earlier in the video, the 65 Ford Mustang Fastback K-code that we have coming soon. If you're on our email blast, you would know that. We also do a ton of stuff on social media. We are on all the social media platforms. I will make note, we're pretty excited about this. We just had a video on Instagram for our 67 Ford Mustang Fastback Custom that we're selling. Just hit the 1.5+ million views, which was awesome. So again, we love if you could join our Instagram account, Facebook account, TikTok account, our YouTube, all that good stuff. So I'll say it in closing here, that MS Classic Cars, we're not a high volume operation. We don't do consignments. We're just a small company, but we are definitely doing big things. Please, again, do your homework. Check us out. Appreciate watching this video. I apologize if it was a little bit long. The intention is not to be entertaining. It's really to give you as much information as I can about our company and this car so you make the right decision purchasing it. All right, so I appreciate you watching again. This is a cold start. We have not started this car in probably 3 or 4 days. As I mentioned earlier, we do have a brand new carburetor here with an electric choke. So I'm going to go ahead and pump it a few times, turn the key, and let it rip. That's as good as it gets. You can't make that up. The guys in service do such a great job. We appreciate you watching this video, and as always, rock and roll.